My name is Tristan Locke. I'm 68 years old, a retired architect, and the kind of man who people forget was ever in the room until it's too late. I built my life in the quiet corners of power, raising my only son Julian after my wife Delilah died, without scandal, without noise. While my family chased headlines, wealth, and legacy, I stayed in the shadows, content to be the backbone no one applauded. But truth is, I've always been the outsider, the one they barely tolerated at family dinners, the one they laughed about behind closed doors. I told myself it didn't matter, until the night of Julian's wedding, when my daughter-in-law lifted her champagne glass and called me a pig. What she didn't know, what none of them knew, was that I'd been paying her student loans for 6 years, and someone had just made sure she found out. That's when everything, my family, my legacy, my life, began to fall apart. The music at the Goldsworth Ballroom didn't stop when Emery Vale called me a pig. She said it like a joke. Ladies and gentlemen, meet the old fat pig who still thinks he's part of this family. Laughter scattered across champagne bubbles, tight dresses, and sharp tuxedos. Her father, Franklin Vale, didn't even blink. He raised his glass like he agreed. I didn't smile. Julian was frozen beside her, his jaw clenched, not touching her waist anymore. The room kept spinning like nothing happened. Violinists kept playing something from Vivaldi. Servers kept pouring wine into fluted crystal. But the chill in the air? It bit like November wind off Lake Michigan. I adjusted the cuff of my navy tux, the same one I wore to Delilah's funeral. Humiliation, my late wife used to say, is the currency of those who never earn their power. I counted to 3 in my head. 1, I didn't flinch. 2, I didn't walk out. 3, I waited. "Sir," a waiter whispered, leaning in. He slipped something into the inside pocket of my suit, a small folded piece of cream stationery, the kind I used to send Delilah on our anniversaries. I opened it, shielding the contents with my hand. "You paid her tuition. She doesn't know it, yet, but someone else does." My heart didn't race. It stopped. I looked around the ballroom. No one was watching me, or maybe everyone was. That's the thing about wolves in tuxedos. They look just like the guests. Julian approached 20 minutes later, the smile on his face thin as razor glass. "Dad, sorry about that. Emery's had too much champagne." "I know what champagne sounds like," I said. He shifted on his feet. "Can we talk tomorrow about some paperwork?" "Does it have numbers?" Julian didn't answer. "Then no," I said. I walked outside. Wind tore through the marble pillars. I lit a cigarette I hadn't touched in 12 years. Delilah's voice echoed in my head. "Smoking kills slowly, but so does swallowing your pride." My phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. "Check your Harvard payments. Transactions from 2018 are being erased in real time. You have 12 hours before they're gone for good." I dropped the cigarette. Ran. Back inside. No one noticed. I pushed past servers, past dancers, past Julian's best man to the back of the ballroom, the bridal party's private suite, empty. The gift table had been picked over, but a guest book still sat open. One name scrawled across the page in hard pressure pen. Ghost. I didn't sleep. Back at my condo, the city looked dead. I tore open the safe behind the second bookshelf, pulled out the old hard copy check stubs. Harvard, tuition, $142,000 over 4 years. All in my name, all anonymous. The passwords I set up, the dummy accounts, every measure I took to keep my name off the grid. Someone found it. Someone cracked it. And now, someone wanted me to know they did. Let them laugh. They have no idea what I've really paid for. Rain clawed at the windows like fingernails on glass. I sat in the dark, the only light coming from the glow of my laptop screen. Transaction history, Citibank private client account, restricted logins, access denied. Try again. I blinked, entered my second password, then the third. An old military serial Delilah made me memorize in case of war. Access denied. The cursor blinked back at me like it knew something I didn't. Downstairs, the elevator dinged. 3 short tones. Not the usual 2. I reached for the Glock in my bottom drawer. Old habits don't die. They just wait for the moment you wish they had. I moved to the hallway. Silent steps. No lights. Someone was inside. He didn't see the gun until I pressed it under his chin. leather gloves, Harvard-branded USB. No weapon. He froze, breathing fast, late 30s, security badge tucked under his blazer, clipped backwards. "You're 2 floors too high," I said. "I don't want to hurt you," he stammered. "Just delivering a message." "Wrong door." He dropped the USB. "It's all in there." Then he ran. I didn't chase. I counted his steps on the stairs. 8, 12. Door slam. Silence. I slid the USB into an air-gapped laptop. Only one file. Veil, debt protocol PDF, password protected, 3 tries. First guess, Julian Vale 123. Denied. Second, lock trust at 9. Denied. Third, Delilah, open. Inside, 112 pages of financial transfers, shell account structures, and a name I hadn't seen in 20 years, Carla Voss. Bottom right corner, do not print, do not forward. Top left corner, signature pending, Emery Vale. My throat closed. I called her once. Voicemail. "Emery, it's Tristan. You should know someone's using your name. Possibly your father. Possibly worse." Beep. Next call. Sylvie Chen. My financial advisor of 12 years. Always direct, never kind. She picked up on the first ring. "You're calling late. I need you to check my 2018 disbursement logs, education fund transfers." "Why?" "Because they're being erased." Silence, then keys tapping. "Oh God," she muttered. "Tristan, someone's triggering a fraud alert on your entire retirement fund. IRS just flagged your portfolio for forensic audit." "By who?" "Name on the report is Julian Locke." I dropped the phone. I didn't even hear it hit the floor. My son had used my name, my tax ID, my access codes. Someone once told me, "The knife in your back usually comes from the hand you trusted most." I grabbed the folder, drove straight to the only person who could still pull strings in this city without a badge or a gun. Carla Voss looked like hell. Gray hair up in a knot, coffee cup shaking in her grip. Retired cybercrime, former FBI, disgraced after leaking sealed records to protect a whistleblower. That was 10 years ago. She opened the door like she expected me. "You took long." "Enough." I handed her the USB. "I need to know what they're building." She inserted the drive, tapped a few commands, and stared. "The debt's real," she said, "but the direction of payment isn't." "What does that mean?" "They rerouted your anonymous payments through offshore proxies. Cayman, Jersey, Dubai. On paper, you're the launderer." My pulse thudded in my temples. "They're setting you up," Carla added. "And the protocol, it's big." "How big?" "Big enough to collapse Locke Trust and transfer everything into Vale Holdings if a final signature is triggered." "Who signs?" She clicked. The screen flickered. A signature block appeared. Julian Locke. I didn't breathe for 5 full seconds. Carla turned the laptop toward me. "We've got less than 48 hours before they file this, and once they do, it becomes public record." She pointed to a folder labeled Transfer Auth POA, Locke PDF. "I bet your son forged your power of attorney. Want to find out?" I nodded once she opened it. And there it was. My name, my signature, the notary seal, only I never signed it. And the notary? Deceased. 3 years ago. My stomach dropped. Carla leaned in. "They've already filed with the IRS. If they can validate that POA, you're going down for tax fraud, mail fraud, wire fraud. What do I do?" "Find out who gave them the docs and stop the transfer." Outside her window, a black SUV sat idling, unmarked, not moving. The taillights glowed red through the mist. "You expecting company?" she asked. "No." Carla stood. Her hand slid to her Glock. "Then get down." The window exploded. "Let them laugh," I'd said. They just started firing. Bullets cracked the window like dry bone snapping. Carla shoved me behind the metal filing cabinet, gun already up. "Move. Right. Now." We ducked into the hallway. I heard the SUV doors slam open outside. Heavy boots hit pavement. 2 men. Maybe 3. She keyed in a panic code. The service elevator opened with a groan. We dropped fast. Basement garage. Fluorescent lights flickering overhead. Damp concrete. The smell of gasoline and mold. "You drive," she said, tossing me the keys to her Dodge Charger. "I'll shoot." We didn't speak until we were on I-90. Wipers thumped hard against the rain. "They're trying to burn the evidence," she said. "That USB is a kill switch, and it's not just about money." I glanced at her. She pulled up a mirrored laptop, flipped the screen. Look. Names. Dates. Transaction codes linking Vail Holdings to dummy accounts across 3 continents. And a tab marked Lock Trust Reassignment Plan, Phase 2. "What the hell is this?" I asked. "It's not just your money, it's your legacy. They're making it look like you rerouted the Lock Trust into a shell that pays them. Can they?" "They already did." I gripped the wheel tighter. "Some debts," I said, "come with interest you don't see until it's too late." Carla pointed at a name buried in the spreadsheet. "Look familiar?" I squinted. Clara Winston, former roommate of Emery's, political science major, expelled after a federal ethics probe. Why is she here? She flagged the loan shifts. She was the first red flag. But nobody listened until she sent me this. Carla tapped another file. An audio clip played. Emery's voice, shaky, breathless. He lied about everything. The trust, the debt, who paid my tuition. I thought it was from someone else, but now I know. I think it was Tristan, and I think Julian used it to steal. Silence, then static, then a male voice muffled, "Delete that." I slammed the brakes. Tires screeched. The Charger spun into a gas station off-ramp. We sat there, rain hammering the roof. "Tell me she's still alive," I said. "She sent that 2 weeks ago," Carla said. Then she went dark. Inside the station, we grabbed burner phones. Carla used the bathroom to clone Julian's recent calls from a backdoor firewall she cracked in her old bureau days. One number popped. Outgoing video. Vail Conference 06. Recipient, private network SAT-27, last pinged location, Wisconsin, a lock facility. Underground, government sealed, but owned by a shell traced back to Franklin Vail. I didn't blink. "We're going." Carla stared at me. "You sure?" "I'm done waiting." The drive to Wisconsin was blacktop silence, the kind that fills your chest like concrete. Carla passed me a burner earpiece. "If I go in and don't come out in 10, you blow the generator. You understand?" I nodded. "Tristan." "Yeah?" "You ever hear that line? Some doors don't open. They just trap you differently." "I heard a better one," I said. "Real power isn't what you own. It's what you survive." The compound was tucked behind what looked like an old hunting lodge, but the perimeter had motion sensors, infrared, and 3 cameras that rotated on 30-second loops. Carla mapped it in 5. We moved in silence, mud in our boots, breath fogging, no moonlight. She popped the lock on the side gate. We slipped in. A code panel blocked us. I watched her work. Her fingers danced. Click. The door buzzed open. We entered hell. Fluorescent lights, metal corridors, a humming that came from deep underground. We passed a room with padded walls, empty restraints, bloodstains like shadows. At the end of the hall, a steel door, locked with retina scan. Carla pulled out a handheld scanner, spliced the circuit, overrode the code with a hardwired jack. The door clicked. We opened it. Inside, Emery, barely conscious, eyes fluttering, dried blood at her temple. She looked up. He's watching." "Who?" But she passed out before answering. I checked her pulse. Steady. We turned to leave. That's when we heard it. A speaker crackled above the exit. "You've been busy, brother." My heart stopped. That voice. I turned slowly. The security feed flickered to life. A face filled the screen. Beard, sunglasses. But I knew that jawline. Avery Locke. Dead 7 years, but staring right at me. "You should have left me dead, brother. Now I'm going to return the favor." The monitor shut off. Just black. Just my reflection and Carla's and the sound of Emery's breathing from the floor. "He's dead," I muttered. "No," Carla said. "He's not." I stared at the blank screen. "I buried him." "Then someone dug him up." Alarms whined. The lights turned red. "Time's up," Carla snapped. "Pick her up." I lifted Emery. She was lighter than I remembered. Bones and betrayal. We moved fast. Down 2 halls. A stairwell. Emergency exit coded with a 9-digit pin. Carla cracked it in 4 seconds. Outside. Fog. Pines. No sirens yet. We reached the perimeter fence. Motion sensor triggered. Lights flared on the towers. Carla shot out the camera with one clean round. Go! I climbed first. Emery over my shoulder. Her fingers twitched. He said Julian gave him everything. I froze. What did you say? I whispered. Julian handed it all over. Trust. POA. The passwords. He thought it would make him family. We were back in the Charger before the compound lights went dark behind us. Carla's hands were tight on the wheel. Julian's the key, not Franklin. I stared out the window. Rain slicing the glass like it hated us. He always hated the silence in this family, I said. Now he's part of a legacy built on lies. 2 hours later, Carla and I sat across from an estate records clerk in Evanston. Her nameplate read H. Nolan. She tapped a few keys. Yes, a transfer was filed last week. Electronic POA signed by you, Mr. Locke, effective immediately. Who notarized it? She frowned. Let me see. Diana R. Mendez. Diana Mendez died in 2021. Nolan blinked. That's not what our system says. Carla leaned in. If you process forged documents knowingly, that's 5 years federal. Nolan went pale. She turned the monitor toward us. Avery's face. Photo ID, alias Mason Cray. Filed under this identity. I remember him. Quiet, wore gloves, said you had Parkinson's, couldn't sign steady. I gripped the edge of the table. He forged everything. We left Nolan shaking behind her desk. Back in the car, Carla opened her tablet. IRS systems show your POA is still active. If they finalize the Veil protocol, they take everything, I finished. Emery was awake now. Her eyes were glassy, her voice barely a whisper. I found the letter, the real one, from Delilah, to you. My pulse spiked. What letter? She wrote it before she died, left it for you, but Avery stole it from her hospice file. Where is it now? Emery swallowed hard. He read it to me. Said Delilah never wanted you to raise Julian. Carla looked up. That's not true, I said. Read the letter. Emery whispered, You'll see. Back at Carla's safe house, we scanned the USB one more time. Hidden deep inside an encrypted folder, 2 PDFs marked DL Estate Final and Lock Clause Removed. Carla opened the first. Delilah's handwriting, scanned from a hospital file. To Tristan, if you're reading this, it means I didn't get to say goodbye. I love you. I chose you, not Avery. No matter what he tells Julian, if he comes back, protect our son. From him, from all of them. I exhaled. Hard. Some people rewrite truth, Carla said, because they can't live with who they really are. I nodded. Others do it so no one else ever finds out. We printed one page. The clause Avery tried to erase. Original will. In the event of Avery Locke's return, all control of Locke Trust reverts to Tristan Locke, unless legal fraud is proven against him. Carla grinned. This is your firewall, but only if I survive long enough to show it. Her laptop pinged. New alert. Julian's calendar. Synced through backdoor sync we planted. Meeting at Vale Tower, 11 a.m. tomorrow. Attendees, Julian Locke, Franklin Vale, Ghost. Carla whistled. All three in one room. That's your shot. I stared at the screen. Let's make it count. We packed the files, charged the weapons. Carla slipped her knife into her boot. The only thing more dangerous than a man with nothing left to lose, she said, is a man who finally knows who he is. I looked at the folder. My name. My wife's name. Our truth. They buried it once. Now we were going to bring it back, with fire and blood. The elevator rose slow. Too slow for a building like Vale Tower. 48 floors, no music, just the quiet hum of pressure and metal. Carla stood beside me, her hand inside her coat gripping the Glock under her armpit. I checked the tablet one last time. Conference room 48C. Access biometric plus key code. Locked in. Julian, Franklin, Avery, all in one place. You ready for this? She asked. I've been ready since the day they called Delilah a mistake. The doors slid open. Hallway empty. Carpet too clean. Lights too bright. We moved fast. Right. 2 doors down. I punched the override Carla programmed into the keypad. The door beeped red, then green. Inside, an oblong glass conference room. 3 men. Suits. Files on the table. Julian turned first. Shock broke across his face like a crack in glass. "Dad?" I stepped in. He stood fast. "What are you doing here?" "You handed my life to a man I buried." His mouth opened. Avery chuckled from the head of the table. Still sunglasses, still smug. "I told you he'd show." Franklin Vale didn't speak, just sat there, staring, like this was a movie, and he'd seen it already. I slid the file across the table. Delilah's letter, the clause, the fake notary, Julian's face drained of color. They told me, you forged my signature," I said, "and gave the man who ruined your mother's life access to everything she left you. I thought he was protecting us. He's the reason she died scared." Avery stood. "You think I care about your grief," he said. "You took everything from me, my family, my name, my legacy. I'm just reclaiming what was stolen. Delilah chose me. She was supposed to be mine." His voice echoed through the glass. Then came the twist. Carla flicked a switch on her wristwatch. The red dot blinked green. "Live feed." "Smile," she said. "Everything you just said is going to the Federal Registrar. And 3 sitting judges." Avery laughed. "You think I didn't expect that?" He pulled a remote from his coat pocket, pressed it. Alarms didn't go off. The building did. A dull boom sounded from somewhere below. Sprinklers burst. Smoke began to leak through the vents. Franklin finally stood. "That's enough." Avery turned on him. "Don't you speak to me like you didn't sign this damn protocol." "I never agreed to this." Julian backed toward the window, shaking. Glass behind him cracked. "Everyone move!" Carla shouted. She grabbed me. We ducked under the table as an explosion hit floor 47. Dust. Fire. Sprinklers hissed. The lights went black. I heard Avery's footsteps fade toward the emergency stairwell. Franklin collapsed, coughing. Julian still frozen, his back to the glass. "You wanted power?" I said. "Now you're standing in the fallout." We pulled Franklin out. He'd inhaled too much smoke, but he was conscious. "I didn't want her hurt," he said. "You funded the prison she was locked in." "I thought it was therapy. Julian told me she had breakdowns." "She had a conscience." Fire crews arrived. Carla handed off our flash drive to a marshal. Encrypted, real-time confession, medical records, estate transfer files. "What about the live feed?" "Went straight to 2 courthouse servers. Public domain in 10 minutes. We sat on the sidewalk as fire trucks screamed past. Julian was gone. No one saw him leave. "Where would he go?" Carla asked. "To someone who still believes he's worth saving," I said. She nodded, then looked up. "Because if there's one thing guilt can't stand, it's the sound of your name when it's no longer yours." I checked the file one more time. Delilah's words. "Protect our son." From him. From all of them. I looked up at the skyline. My bloodline was splintered, but not finished. Not yet. The trial took 6 weeks. They played the confession on 4 screens. Avery's voice. Franklin's silence. Julian's signature. Every lie was now government property. I watched from the back row. I didn't testify. Didn't need to. Truth, when timed right, becomes its own executioner. Avery was sentenced to 30 years. Franklin cut a deal, disowned by every board he ever sat on. Julian never showed. 3 months later, Emery met me in the old cafe off Lexington. Same one Delilah used to love. Black and white tiles, bitter coffee, the smell of time. "I'm sorry," she said, eyes down. "You don't owe me anything." "Yes, I do." Her hands trembled on the mug. I didn't see it. What they were doing. What Julian was becoming. None of us did. He's in Portugal, hiding, says he's writing a book. I smirked. Some stories aren't worth telling. She reached into her purse, handed me a manila envelope. Inside, the original tuition receipts. All signed, all real. "You never told me." "It was never about the money." She looked at me. "Then what was it about?" I sipped the coffee. Bitter, hot, honest. "Legacy, not what you leave behind, but what you refuse to let destroy others." Carla retired, for good this time, moved to Vermont, bought a cabin with no Wi-Fi. Before she left, she sent me a photo, the letter from Delilah, framed on her wall. Underneath, she'd handwritten, "Truth doesn't bring peace, it just stops the bleeding." I reinstated the Locke Foundation, but not for tech, not for stocks. We funded scholarships, no strings, no names, just potential. One foggy morning, I drove out to Forest Hill Cemetery. Gravel crunched under my boots. Delilah's headstone hadn't aged a day. I knelt, opened my coat, took out the last thing I had left from the fire. The check stub. Harvard, 2018, $17,800. Line item, final disbursement. I tucked it under the stone. I kept my promise. I whispered. The wind moved the trees like they were listening. Julian will figure it out, I said. Maybe not today, maybe not this decade, but someday. I stood, looked at the sky. Gray, cold, beautiful. When I got back to the car, a letter waited on my seat. No stamp, no signature, just my name. Inside, you weren't supposed to win, but maybe we were never supposed to lose the way we did. I'm sorry. Jay. I read it twice. Didn't move, because sometimes forgiveness doesn't come from justice. It comes from understanding how easy it is to become someone you swore you'd never be. The world didn't end, but a part of it did. And that's okay, because not all endings need fireworks. Some just need silence and a name you're finally proud to keep.